human interaction within the whole marketing experience and advertising is still needed. When you do something like AI-generated commercials, it just doesn't work. More than 70% of projects or innovation fails in our industry, which is not a bad thing. So it's more of a mindset, it's more of a process. Are you evolving in terms of leveraging digital technology in your decision making? Are you moving towards that goal? Then you're digitalizing, you're on that transformation journey.
Stanislav, welcome. Good morning, sir.
Nice
welcome
to meet you.
Andersen R&D channel. Today we're gonna speak about awesome company with fabulous products. So yeah, happy to see you, sir.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for hosting.
Did the advertisements you saw in childhood, or perhaps memories of the first time you tried a chocolate bar, influence your decision to work at Mars?
I'd say it was the experience of Halloween. So it was very fun to run around the neighborhood with your friends and family and collect as much candy as you can. And that experience definitely imprinted the brand of Mars. Mars is a global company. It's got hundreds of different brands. And yeah, that was an opportunity that ultimately presented itself, and I took it.
So it was in your childhood?
Yes.
And the Halloween?
Yes.
And now your kids right now doing the same?
Indeed. We just had a great Halloween experience a couple of weeks back, so it's very good timing.
That's awesome story about company. Happy to hear that. Every advertisement should stick in our minds so that people think about Mars like a subliminal message. Overall, would you agree that advertising and brand positioning is an art?
I'd say it's an art and a science. And certainly AI is coming into the picture and becoming more and more of a science, but you still need that bit of an art. So human interaction within the whole marketing experience and advertising is still needed. When you do something like AI-generated commercials, it just doesn't work. And so there is a bit of science. You need certain messages to come across, but the art is still there.
Awesome, cool. Can a company's position influence not only individual consumers, but entire industries as well? And how, like, for example, Mars, if it's innovation idea or something new, how it's influence on other brands as well?
Yes, companies can certainly start a trend, both good and bad, but focusing on the good, how it goes about its business can really open up new ways. So for example, leveraging data from your vendors or the data from different channels can lead to new product innovation. So you're, for example, gathering data from a company like Alibaba, see what is bought after somebody buys chocolate, and that gives you new ideas. And that's what Mars has done. So developing a spicy chocolate bar by looking at what people buy after buying chocolate. And a lot of people in China were buying something spicy. And that gave us an idea, why not combine the two? So that type of innovation could come through from ideas like that and set a trend for the entire industry.
Where I can buy spicy chocolate bar? I haven't tried it. It's only in China from Alibaba.
Yeah, innovation, it's a funny thing. It's not necessarily rolled out globally. So certain markets get certain innovation, others don't. We try something out in one market, see if it works, and maybe globalize it, maybe just keep it in that market. But you can certainly find it. It's a little bit trickier in the US.
Yeah, that's funny, interesting. And my next question is about it. So you have vast experience working in various industries and countries. Let's talk about cultural difference that you just mentioned. How do business strategies in the food industry in the United States, for example, differ from those? I'm curious about Middle East actually, because it is two absolutely different countries. So how it's, what are the differences between these in your strategy in a company?
Yeah, well, Middle East, usually hot. So the implications from that, for example, when you talk about food, we do have a large pet food business as well. Not as many pets in the Middle East, so the way we go about it there would differ versus a US market, which is much more mature. chocolate melts in a very hot market. So the way we package, the way we deliver would have to differ as well. And food like nuts may do better than chocolate-heavy type of SKUs because of that.
Lay's offers blueberry or cappuccino flavored chips depending on the region. I can't imagine actually cappuccino flavored chips. Anyways, how do the cultural characteristic of the region affects consumers, and do you maintain the same standards everywhere, or do you adapt to different markets?
We definitely adapt, and certain regions like spicier foods than others, as I mentioned, and there's also communities. So for example, gamer community is an interesting one. They have very specific desires in terms of packaging, in terms of flavors. So we've done a Respawn gum together with Razer, the gaming company, and that offers the flavors specific to the gamer community. And that's a very interesting segment. It can be extremely lucrative from many different ways. And basically what we're doing is partnering with those who know the gamer community, so gamer companies, and developing a product specific to that community. And you're seeing that a lot in the industry, community-specific innovation. So not just regional, but even within the regions specific to the communities.
Okay. Could you give me an example of the most unique or craziest flavor you ever tried?
Well, I'd say the spicy chocolate was definitely
spicy chocolate.
Yeah. And I like spicy food, so to me that was a very interesting experience. And Razer gum, I mean, when you're getting a little bit of a caffeine flavor in the gum is also an interesting experience.
Right now it's very popular, this 0 calories, 0 sugar. Do you have, I haven't seen it, would we have the chocolate bar with 0 sugar, with 0 calories? Is it possible?
Well, we choose not to change the experience, and so we prefer to go smaller size, and that's what we mostly look, favor in terms of the SKUs. So not changing the flavors too much because people are used to a certain experience when looking into our foods. And so smaller bite size is what we prefer, but you can certainly innovate. Certainly in gum, there's 0 calories, and we have a large gum segment of the business there. 0 calories chocolate, I think, I'm sure it'll happen.
It will happen. Okay, awesome. Don't just cross into the future, lead it. Andersen is ready to equip you with all the tools and resources to bring your ideas to life. Start your journey to a market-ready product by applying on our website. Schedule a free consultation now and profit from innovation and agility. In addition to cultural difference, the concept of clean, green, farm-to-table food is very trendy right now. It is all related to the concept of sustainability, and everyone seems to have their definition of green. How would you personally define it?
Well, I'm a numbers guy, so I like quantifiable definitions. For example, carbon footprint. Mars has made tremendous progress, a leader in the industry in terms of net zero commitment on carbon. And so you can do a carbon footprint of your SKUs. It's challenging because you have to go through an entire supply chain. But essentially, if you're reducing the carbon footprint of your SKU, that's technically greener. If you're doing something that's more sustainable in terms of reusing the packaging, that tends to be, and again, that can go into the carbon footprint in a quantifiable fashion. But if you're taking steps that are quantifiable, to me, that's a very clear step in the right direction.
So it's all about manufacture process, mostly when we're talking about
manufacturing or delivery. So supply chain plays a large element in that. So how you procure, how you deliver, and anything you can reduce carbon footprint there, that's technically more green.
Do you deliver your chocolate bars by drones?
Not that I know of, but I'm sure that's coming.
Okay, okay, awesome.
We mostly partner, we're a B2B business, so primarily. We do have a store in a few locations, and we do have a B2C component, but mostly we do B2B. So if our partners work through that, then sure.
Of course. Is an e-receipt the example of green? It is about savings, conserving forest, or something else?
Yeah, I think it's a win-win proposition. I mean, being green doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. It saves on cost, so you're not spending as much on paper, on ink, and you're also conserving forests and all the implications coming from printing paper. So it's a win-win proposition right there.
Okay, and when making a product greener and cleaner, we risk receiving negative feedback from consumers. We often hear the food tasted better before, and similar comments. How do you find the right balance, or this is, I mean, taste is just a myth?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's why we don't like to change the taste too much. We usually prefer to reduce the size. We also take new products to the market regularly. We test it with various number of trials and stage gates, and so we're always launching innovation, and hopefully our innovation lands, and hopefully it's greener and tastier and healthier. So that would be a win-win.
So we're not gonna mess with taste. Everything's gonna be all right, as I understood.
But tastes evolve and desires evolve, and as I mentioned, the communities have their own specific desires, and so we're constantly innovating. And I think that's what's needed going into the next era of development in the CPG industry. You need to constantly evolve and be very specific to where your consumer needs are. So, right product at the right time at the right price. That's the winning combination.
Launching a new product or service that targets a massive audience on behalf of a company that has been on the market for almost 150 years involves risks. Did you have projects that didn't succeed?
Oh, most definitely. And more than 70% of projects or innovation fails in our industry, which is not a bad thing. So the key is to learn to do it fairly cheaply or as cheaper as you can, and making sure that you can innovate faster, cheaper, and better. That's the name of the game. And that's what we're doing through the power of innovation via AI. So we're helping to shorten the stage gate process. So launching to market is decreasing in terms of time. We're more accurate in terms of our innovation, and doing post-launch review, learning what worked well, what didn't, so that we can pivot accordingly.
And when some of your competitors do mistakes, you also learn from them.
Definitely. And that's where social media listening, for example, comes in. So you can gauge a lot just from the social media review scores, for example. So looking at Amazon reviews, gauging what worked well, what didn't, and then making conclusions based on that and what it implies for your own innovation. And likewise, your internal innovation as well.
I saw one interview, and a big company brand said that we always looking on Google feedbacks and getting more and more ideas from these feedbacks. So it's also a possible way how to learn.
Exactly. So Amazon is one example, Google is another, and you can even learn from Google search terms. So what's trending, and that gives you ideas for what potentially could be your new innovation.
Everyone on the internet talks about digitalization and AI. But the statistics are that only 30% of the companies are fully digitalized. At the same time, the remaining 70% say that they have also implemented digital transformation. Everyone seems to have a different understanding of what this means. In your opinion, what is the digital transformation?
Yeah, that's a very broad question, and it sort of depends on the industry, it depends on the company in terms of how they define it. 30% fully digitalized, I'd love to see what that fully digitalized really means, because it's always evolving, right? There's so much going on in generative AI, automation. To be fully digitalized, I'd say very few. I'd be surprised if 30% are fully. So it's more of a mindset. It's more of a process. Are you evolving in terms of leveraging digital technology in your decision making? Are you moving towards that goal? Then you're digitalizing. You're on that transformation journey. I don't think you ever fully reach it because technology evolves so quickly. Full digitalization would mean what? Basically full automation, and everything is basically decided by computers or AI, from concept generation to manufacturing to delivery to learning from how the marketing spend would be. It's prescriptive analytics, it's automation. No, it's not fully. And thankfully, we do need people to make those decisions. Digitalization improves the decision-making process, hopefully, and frees up time for people to concentrate on more of that value additive activity. So, leveraging their brains to think creatively, something that computers, AI doesn't do as well for now.
For now.
For now.
Yeah. Okay. In the business world, there is a common belief that digitalization is only for giant companies. What lessons have you learned from digitalization that you can share with other companies?
Definitely wouldn't agree that it's only for large companies. I think there's a lot more sensitivity to costs for small companies. They can't absorb the cost as easily, and that's where digitalization can help. So I wouldn't agree that it's just for the large. What I'd recommend for the small companies is definitely to focus on this value centricity. So what are you deriving from digitalization? Are you looking to do revenue growth? Are you looking to save on costs? And depending on which is more important, you choose the appropriate strategy. So a SaaS solution, maybe you go out and buy a certain analytics platform. You don't have to build everything. So when you're smaller, you just have to be a lot more sensitive to cost and doing that ROI on your digital transformation journey. And that's what we do as a large company as well. And I think it makes a lot of sense to make sure that you're always keeping your eye on the ball in terms of the bottom line impact, and then you should be good.
What other digitalization myths do you often hear and can debunk?
There are a lot of myths out there, and one maybe that it replaces humans completely, depending on how you interpret the word digitalization, if it means automation, just AI taking the place of a human. So the myth there is that it completely replaces humans. I think it replaces certain tasks, and that's where I mentioned earlier, AI has the power to enable you to do more thought-intensive, more creative type of work. And it's hard to avoid AI in the type of work that we'll be doing in many different functions. So it'll impact from HR. You can screen candidates, internal and external, more automated fashion via AI, but then that means you can focus on other things rather than just reading resumes line by line. So I guess the type of work that you'll be doing is going to change, but it's not going to replace the human element. So that's one of the most common myths that we're hearing right now, especially with Gen AI.
It's a bit scary if Gen AI would be more creative than people.
But then it just frees up time to think of what next. So where does that product placement matter most? So you can focus on the strategy, channel strategy, market strategy, pricing. There are a lot of different ways you can focus your time. It just gives you, I'd say, more options, quicker options, but fully automated, we're certainly not seeing that yet. But there was a lot of fear around Industrial Revolution. I mean, that was also very transformative, to put it mildly. And it did replace certain jobs, but it was a very small portion of the economy. And I'd say it generated a lot more opportunities down the road.
It has replaced some jobs, but creates a new one as well.
Exactly.
They say success is something that you can measure. At least in business, it works this way. Are the digitalization success metrics unique to each company or standardized?
Say there's certain metrics that can be standardized, and that's top line, bottom line, and FTE hours freed up. Those type of metrics can be leveraged throughout. Certain metrics can be also internalized, maybe specific to brand performance, a certain amount of hours in a certain type of a function or process, but more or less, I'd say it's similar throughout the industry.
Okay, digitalization, it is awesome. What is the benefit of digitalization for me as an end consumer? Next time when I'll open a chocolate bar, how would I feel that you achieved something like more, something new in the digitalization process?
I mean, you can take the stand that if the job is done well, then you wouldn't even really feel it. But you will feel it in terms of taste. It'll still taste like chocolate probably if you're eating a chocolate bar. I'd say the savings could trickle down to you, so you'll feel it because time to market was faster, and so we pass that savings on to the consumer. And maybe the packaging was done in a different way that would also maybe get your attention better, or is more recyclable. So getting back to that sustainability question. So computers and digitalization, AI, whatever you want to call it, that can help you innovate faster, learn from those mistakes, do it cheaper, go to market quicker. So all of this passed on to the consumer. So you'll just eat something that is maybe a little bit new, maybe a little bit healthier, maybe a little bit more sustainable and cheaper. So all of these hopefully can trickle down, and you wouldn't necessarily feel it when you're biting into a candy bar, but ultimately those are the effects and the implications of AI.
So we don't see that, but behind that it's a huge work, and it just makes our life better.
Exactly.
Here we are talking about digitalization and users. Do you have an online audience whose data is being collected?
Yeah, there's a slew of zero-party, first-party, second-party, a lot of different data sets on our end users. Mars is mostly B2B, so we mostly leverage our retailer partnership data where applicable. But we have an online store, we have a physical presence as well, so there's data that can be and is leveraged. But we're mostly looking for our partners to develop the data sets and how we leverage it.
Let's talk about today's trend, AI. How is AI impacting the food industry?
Very broad, from sourcing to looking what is the hottest trend in the market, to delivery of that food. So you can we talked about search terms. You can see what's trending, and you can make different NPD, so new product development, based off of that search. And that changes the ecosystem. So it changes what you source, how you deliver it, how you market it, and the entire value chain can get implicated, can change because of that. Essentially, AI can hopefully standardize some of the processes and thus reduce cost. It can be a lot more prescriptive, so it can give you ideas in terms of where tweaks need to happen in the value chain. And all of that savings can be passed on to our consumers.
That's awesome. 30% of companies have implemented AI on a large scale. Does Mars belong among them?
Yes. We're very active in leveraging AI end-to-end, from demand to supply. And it's one of our biggest bets in terms of how to evolve our company moving forward.
So robots already package bars on manufacture?
There is quite a bit of digital twin type of work, leveraging AI to do new product innovation, leveraging AI to do post-launch review on that innovation, getting ideas for marketing in terms of campaign automation, all of these type of things. Yes, we're taking steps towards that. Fully automated, no.
The question on everyone's mind is whether AI can be applied in the industry not only for automation, but also for decision making. For example, can it influence product taste and packaging, or even invent a new product?
Definitely. So automation is pretty much the end of the AI journey, or towards the end. So prescriptive analytics, that's where the beauty of decision making comes in. Makes recommendations in terms of what should be the optimal scenario, what you need to tweak. It gives you different options. So essentially, you can create an ideal or one of the better scenarios in terms of new products from a costing perspective, from a nutritional, sustainability, whatever metrics you put in, it can spew out the recommendation or based on the search terms. So your criteria go in and it makes a recommendation. That's where really the power of AI can come in, is making these different scenarios, and you can model out the scenarios implications on your top line, bottom line, overall portfolio, doing demand transference, what happens when you put in a new product, what happens to the demand from your other products, all these different scenarios possible through AI and machine learning. Ideally, then you would get a prescriptive lens, so you would have recommendations about what should you do if you do this. So they can go from marketing to supply chain, and from demand to supply, and everything in between, really. So prescriptive analytics, very powerful. And that's where augmentation, it's not just AI in terms of automation, it's augmentation is a good way to think about it. So augmenting your work and giving you ideas, giving you recommendations, but you're the ultimate decision maker.
It all depends on data, what you're putting in. So how it's clear, structured, prepared, like.
Exactly. And that's where we're seeing the transformation in the industry. A lot more emphasis on data quality, data foundation. We have a new CDO in place, and the entire org is doubling down on efforts to clean up the data, get that foundation in place, because it's garbage in, garbage out. You're only as good as the data that you put in.
Yeah.
So very appropriate discussion, because a lot of companies invested in that AI and making fancy dashboards, but now they're finding out a lot of times the hard way that the output they're receiving isn't really very good because they didn't invest in that data foundation layer.
Data. Right, absolutely. In production, AI influences efficiency, speed, and other aspects. We can say that AI is implemented for mass production. Given that it lacks creativity, will AI implementation on a large scale lead from customization to standardization?
Don't foresee a future where standardization is the result of AI. I think there'll be a lot of different scenarios, and then that's where the human element, this is where augmentation in terms of what we get from AI really comes in. So you're getting different scenarios, and then the human makes the most appropriate decision based on that. And I don't foresee standardization because you'll still have different diverging opinions based on what the human element puts in.
Stanislav, thanks a lot. I have some short questions to wrap up or talk if you don't mind.
Sure, no, it's been a pleasure.
So, Snickers or Twix?
Twix.
Twix, okay.
And you?
I am Snickers.
Okay.
Yeah, I do love nuts, so.
Good to get variety.
Absolutely. What does AI taste like?
Well, like I said, ideally, you don't taste the AI. It trickles down to either cost savings or better on the environment or better in terms of the packaging. All of these different elements. Hopefully, you don't feel the impact directly from AI, because that would be a very different type of future.
We have right now pictures, for example, of videos, and there is a phrase AI built, because they have to put it. Would we have on Snickers or Twix, like with help of AI or something like that?
Potentially, but we're a fairly heavily regulated industry. It's food, so I envision the FDA and other similar type of agencies would maybe take a different look at AI-generated food. But yeah, I can see that.
Healthy food or whatever?
They're not necessarily mutually exclusive, and what's healthy to one may not be healthy to another. So whatever works best for you at the right time, at the appropriate levels, I think makes the most sense.
What is the more important, food taste or its color composition?
That's a tricky one, and it depends on the individual. I mean, to me, I care more about the taste and healthiness, but others may care more about the color. So I think it's very individual.
Which advertisement is better, green and sustainable or taste and uniqueness?
Yeah, not mutually exclusive, and what works well in one market or to one community may not work well with another market, another community. So I think there's room for both, and ideally you do both.
We've had sneakers for 100 years already. Tricky question, do you see sneakers in 100 years? So it's 2130?
Yes, very much so. And that's the power of innovation. There's a lot of categories that you can go to. So doing something like Snickers ice cream, you can expand it into other categories entirely. You can do innovation based on that one brand. So offering a spicy version or different, like a dates instead of a sugar type of combination, many different ways. And it could appeal to a Middle East market, for example, and it could appeal very differently to market in China or a gamer community. So all of these different segments you can play around with. And yeah, I see lots of opportunity.
If AI could create any product today, right now, what would it be?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the question of data foundation. So if you have a good data foundation and you write the right script, essentially, so make the right ask, it'll give you the NPD, the new product development opportunity that has those type of metrics. Essentially, if you're looking for a certain cost, a certain packaging, a certain health component, then that's what it'll give you. But if you don't have the data foundation in place, then it's going to give you something that may not even be technically feasible. So that's where the layer of the data quality really is important.
It was highly insightful. Thank you, Stanislav.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valentin.